Hello and welcome to She TV, the place to become powerfully feminine from the inside out. And today I am talking to you about how you will never attract a king from the false feminine. Now, if you don't know my model of the false and true feminine, then go back and watch that in some previous videos. But today I'm going to assume that you know the difference between the true and the false feminine. And I will illuminate a little bit more about what the false feminine is and why that is keeping you stuck and attracting the wrong kind of man or keeping the wrong kind of men in your life. So today what I'm talking to you about is, through my observation and experience, that you will never attract a king from the false feminine. And if I'm honest here, I could also include in this topic that you'll never attract a king from man mode. I'll give you some distinctions about that today as we dive on in. Okay, so a few things about how the false feminine can be I'm going to turn this off. Too distracting for me. I like to do it when I'm doing practices, but it's too much when I'm trying to talk to you and get clarity about important topics. So you see the false feminine, the maid and the princess. And if you haven't heard of my model before about the true and the false feminine, then please go back and find those videos. Find the ones about the pitfalls of the false feminine and the power of the true feminine. Okay, so the false feminine in relationship dynamics or dating dynamics. Now, it doesn't mean that you're never going to end up in a relationship if you're in the false feminine, but the question we're putting here is, what type of relationship and what type of person do you attract? Do we attract from the false feminine? Okay. So the false feminine, one of the key things about, well, firstly, the maid is very lost. The maid doesn't feel like the world has anything for her, that she's underneath all of the time, that she's in a subservient positioning. She doesn't feel very worthy. She doesn't feel seen a lot of the time. She's very unseen, and she experiences being unseen, feeling unseen. Now, the princess can be a bit more rabid in her victim. So the false feminine is really the level of victim, okay? And so she can be loud and she can be bit more visible, but she's constantly grasping for attention. She tries to be at the center of attention a lot of the time, and she causes a lot of drama and suffering for herself and for those near to her. She tends to look outside of herself for reflection or to try to find a sense of herself through things outside of herself. And she can kind of move and change all the time, a bit chameleon-like, to try to fit in to situations. She's actually become very good at fitting in, and she is subsequently very out of her authentic self. And she does, inside of that, doesn't feel powerful. So she kind of lives in a world of win-lose, or gaining power over something or somebody else in order to gain an experience of power in herself. And of course it doesn't last, because it's not a real sense of inner power or authenticity. It's something that is short-lived and has been taken from something or somebody else. So I just wanted to give you a little brief overview there to give you a flavor of, okay, well, if those things are true about the maid and the princess, then how does that turn up in relationships? How does that turn up in dating? How does it turn up in relationship dynamics? What I've said before in these videos about the false feminine is she's essentially feels like a victim, even if she doesn't admit it. She doesn't feel victorious. She doesn't feel like she's empowered. She doesn't feel powerful inside of herself, right? The queen, she feels powerful, and it never means power over, okay? So the true feminine is powerful by her being, powerful by her authentic self and expression of herself. She's a lot more calm and centered and embodied, okay? She doesn't look externally for validation. She experiences validation internally. It doesn't mean that she's a lone wolf and she's on her own. In fact, the Queen actually seeks for a lot of input by people she would consider to be in her inner circle or close inside of her inner boundaries. Okay, she's actually very clear of her boundaries, the Queen. Very clear of her boundaries, which are important in either dating or in relationships. Okay, and it's a level of self-respect and clarity that I can promise you that kings will serve for you. So if we looked at boundaries and self-respect, the false feminine doesn't know her boundaries, and she doesn't have a sense of self-respect or self-worth. Okay? So what I'm trying to illustrate here is there's a certain resonance, vibration, energetic resonance that the false feminine is resonating at. So figure this person, she goes out into the dating world resonating at that level. And then what happens is she literally attracts a similar kind of vibration, similar kind of resonance. Make sense? And so she's probably attracting men that are in their false masculine, men that are going to create, you create this false feminine, false masculine dialectic. And it's pretty horrible, really. It's very painful for me to see people when they're doing that. Because they can really learn. These are learnable things. The masculine can learn to be in their true masculine. The feminine can learn to be in her true feminine. Okay? And so it's a world where nobody's needs are being met. It's a world of antagonism, and it's a world of conflict, where there may be polarity, but it's polarity from the false masculine and the false feminine. Okay? Okay, so the thing is, the false feminine has expectations of failure. She's very stuck in the stories of the past, and she kind of comes to the table with a lot of the baggage pretty ever present inside of herself. She probably hasn't done a lot of transformation work on that, or if she thinks she has, but she really hasn't come to a level of opening, grace, and resolution to things that have happened before. We all are turning up with baggage and with history and with stories that have been painful for us. But if we do not resolve them, and if we do not see behind them, go to the source of how they started and how they happened, and take personal responsibility for our side of the equation, then you will keep turning up with this baggage in these scenarios. The false feminine gets triggered frequently, okay? She's always getting triggered, and when she gets triggered, the blame goes on you. If you are in her world and she's getting triggered, she's going to blame whoever's closest to her. Who's usually closest to us? Our primary partner, right? So whether she's dating or she has a primary relationship, it's actually usually the person who's closest to her that gets a lot of that attack, and it does get received as attack frequently from the men in their life. Okay. To the contrary, the true feminine owns her stuff. She owns her triggers. She's done a lot of transformation work, coaching, mentorship, spiritual practice, deconstruction work, meditation. Whatever she has done, she owns her stuff. Now, what this means is the true feminine knows her triggers. She owns them. She's still working through them. Yes, eventually they don't have to be triggered anymore when it's resolved. But en route to that, let's not jump a step here. We are all resolving core triggers inside of us. It doesn't make you bad. It doesn't make you a lesser person. But the difference here is whether it gets deflected onto those outside of her or it's owned inside of her. Okay? Very different. And I can promise you, when you're with a king and you stand in your queen and you can get triggered, okay? We get triggered, but you own it. He will stand behind you. He will provide for you, and he will support you through whatever transformation process you need to go through. Even if he elicited a trigger and you go, whoa, that really hurt. I can feel so much pain in my heart. I'm really triggered right now. is very different than you hurt me, you've made me triggered, you're a bad person. Can you see the difference? Worlds apart in terms of a king, okay? So the topic today is, you can see, I think at this point, that being in the false feminine pushes away kings, okay? If a man is in his true masculine, he's not going to abide by false feminine behavior. He is resonating at a different level of consciousness. And let's come back to you here. When you learn how to stand in your queen, how to stand in your true feminine, when you are in this arena where you see the forest for the trees, where you don't feel restricted, where you feel fully, authentically, and creatively in yourself, you attract and resonate with very different kind of people in general, okay? And so can you feel how the kind of vibration and resonance you are in as a queen attracts a very different kind of man? And we call him the king here, because the man who is in his true masculine is the king, okay? The king and the wizard. Whereas the true feminine is the queen and the priestess, okay? And he will fall all over himself to protect, provide for, and support his queen. He will make his life about her, even if he has other professions and other professional pursuits, which we hope of him, okay? Now, the other thing about a queen, or the true feminine, is she has a full life. Not a full life that's so full that she doesn't have space for her king, but she has a fullness of life. She is full and complete in herself, in so much as she doesn't graspingly, desperately need a man to fulfill her life, to fulfill her sexually, to fulfill her sense of herself. I speak of the true feminine as being self-full, okay? It's an important distinction here, whereas the false feminine is often perceived as selfish or self-centered, okay? Selfish or self-centered, or in fact can seem selfless, okay? Can seem selfless, but she is draining herself out when she's being selfless. She's actually in the maid, okay? I know this one because I have a sister-in-law who is the biggest martyr you can imagine, the martyr type, okay? She is seemingly selfless, but she is brewing on the inside. She's angry, she's very, very empty, and as a woman who's now over 50, her body has literally dried out. She's dried out. And the true feminine is all about being juicy and full and alive and rich and generous in the fullness of our energy. When we are full and rich and self-full, we are generous in our energy. And then we're also able to be receptive to the king, okay? So one of the things that the queen, the true feminine, knows is about the beautiful, beautiful provision of the masculine. The masculine, the true masculine, wants to provide for us. Now, I know that this is a sticking point for my smart, savvy women, because we can do anything for ourselves. We are incredibly capable, we're smart, and we are able to take care of ourselves financially now. This is what the work of the 60s and the feminist movement did for us. But it came at a cost. It came at a cost to our energy. It came at a cost to other things that we pretend we haven't wanted and needed. I remember when I admitted to myself that I wanted a man to take care of me, to help me to feel safe. That was for me just to admit that to myself, let alone say it out loud to somebody else, that took a lot of humility, actually. Now, it doesn't mean that he needs to provide for you financially. It doesn't need to mean that. But if we don't allow kings to provide for us, it's such a core part of the true masculine, then we're saying, no, I don't want your masculine. And so what often happens in the false feminine is they're very sort of independent. They're coping. They are proud in a way that is a closing and a shutting off to the beautiful provision of the divine masculine for us. There's so much more they can provide for us if we just allow them to. Let them provide for us. Okay, so you realize that you're super smart, capable, and can do all that for yourself. Fantastic. That doesn't take away from allowing them to do it for you anyway. Okay, where's the pride there? Where's the competition? Why do we need to compete with the masculine providing its masculine force into us and for us? Because I can tell you that when we allow the masculine to do that for us, to provide safety, to provide that sense of strength, to provide their leadership and their direction in the relationship, then it's a huge relief for somebody like me, right? It's like, wow, when I let the masculine do that, it takes a lot of the things that I was doing all the time myself, it takes it away, and that's a huge relief. What does that provide? That provides a lot more space in me to do other things, okay? It allows the space for the feminine to express itself. How beautiful. Now, whilst I'm here, I have just a few more days left open for the Arise in Your Queen, Attract Your King 90-day salon. I have only 3 spots left available. I want you to know that it is a small group I am taking through for this very first round of Arise in Your Queen, Attract Your King. What that will mean, knowing myself, I will massively over-deliver to these 10 women. I'm going to be there to answer every single question you have about how to arise in your queen in relationship, okay? Now, relationship means dating too, because that's the start of any relationship, is some sort of dating engagement. That's what it's about. If you're in a relationship and you find yourself sort of fighting all the time or in fighting dynamics, if you're not getting your needs met and you sense that his needs are not getting met, then you know that you're stuck in a false feminine orientation. If you're wanting more intimacy, more depth, more richness, and more of the true feminine, true masculine polarity, and you're already in a relationship, this is for you. This is also for you if you are in dating and you're in the dating world and you find yourself thinking a few things like there are no good men left out there. Now, let me just stop there for a second, because I remember feeling that myself when I was just not turning up in my queen, because all I was doing was resonating with the false masculine. So I got out of the dating world. I went, okay, all the research that I've done that I'm going to be providing for you in the program and my own personal experience. I'm going to be sharing a lot of my personal experience. And I have to say that a lot of my personal experience is what not to do. Okay, that didn't work and didn't attract the right kind of man. And then I applied the feminine arts to dating and now in relationship. And it's a different world order. It's so different. And by the way, when I started to turn up in my queen, that is when suddenly all these kings came out of the woodwork, like, where have you been, right? You start to resonate at a very different level, okay? Now, if you're dating and you just keep finding yourself finding the wrong kind of man, that type of thing, or if you just don't know how to turn up in the feminine, in relationship, in dating, this is also for you. This is the first time I'm really going to speak about dynamics of communication with men, like how to understand them, how they think, and what they want, and how to speak to them in a way that empowers you, okay? You see, when I say this, I'm not trying to get you to understand men to make them more important or more a priority. It's more to actually get your needs met and your desires met. Because what I found is when I understood men and that they think very, very, very differently to us. And we need to understand this and love the way they think. Because I can tell you what, when you get this, you're going to go, oh my God, they're so beautiful. They're so beautiful. They're constantly there trying to provide for you, trying to make you happy. In fact, that's one of the things that they want more than anything else, is to make you happy. Misty's asking me, what does receiving that provision look like for me in my relationship? Super great question, Misty. Wow, you know, my king, Thomas, his provision is so constant. He provides this energetic experience of safety. So I always know that he's there and I am resting on him energetically, even if he's not with me in person. For me, that provides an incredible safety net, a sense of being loved, and his constant awareness is on me. I know that he's taking care of me or things that I've asked for from him, okay? And what I mean by that is, one of the things we learn to do in the Queen is to identify our needs. Okay, this is one of the core feminine arts, is understanding our desire, learning how to ask for it, for the masculine, and then letting his masculine provide it for you without micromanaging him. Another false feminine trait. We micromanage the masculine rather than trust that his masculine is trying to provide our needs for us in his way, and it may not come at the speed or in exactly the way we expect, but when you learn to trust a king, trust me, he's always in the background trying to work that out for you and on your behalf. How else does he provide for me? Well, I am with a man whose provision for me sexually is beyond any experience I've had in my life. His focus on my pleasure, on what I need and want sexually, is off the charts of anything I've ever experienced in my life. He is attentive to my body, not just sexually. He's attentive to my body and my body's needs and my health. He happens to be a chiropractor, so he's a bit of a master and a wizard at that level. Constant provision of that. What else? I think the main thing, Misty, is because I'm very aware of my desires and my needs, and I'm cool, and I have learnt how to constantly ask for them in an uncharged way to my man. He is used to hearing my needs all of the time, whether it's just in life, whether it's around my sexuality, okay, which is also why he can provide for me, because I know exactly what I want. Or he supports me in my business. He loves this work. He is a lover and adorer of the feminine, by the way, the true feminine. We speak about it all the time. He loves this, what I do here. He's a huge advocate of this work on becoming powerfully feminine. Huge advocate. I'm sure there's so much more that I could tell you about. And of course, in the salon, I'm going to be revealing that a lot more systematically. The king is not what we think it is. Our world pervades, this is an answer to somebody else's question. The world pervades the masculine as what I call the false masculine, the jock. In America especially, that kind of jock, bravado, masculine type is really the false masculine. And remember, the thing is, there's a certain evolutionary component from the false feminine to the true feminine, and the false masculine to the true feminine, true masculine. Alison Armstrong talks about this work. She has beautiful models around that. I will be using some of Alison Armstrong's work in the Arise in Your Queen, Attract Your King salon, okay? One of the other things I'm going to be doing in the salon is I do require you to do some reading, okay? I've read hundreds and hundreds of books. I've done research for the last 20 odd years around the feminine. This is how I've developed this beautiful model about the false feminine and the false masculine and the true feminine, the true masculine, because of my training as an astrologer, and that there is a higher and a lower mode of everything in the world, okay? And so what I'm here to do, encourage you to be and to elevate into, to emerge into, is your queen. And in this program, I'm going to be talking about it through this very specific lens of relationship and relationship dynamics. I'm so excited to do this. It's the first time. I'm excited and vulnerable about it because I have not wanted to teach this until I knew I had a level of mastery around it. It's the kind of way I operate. I didn't want to be talking about it whilst I didn't feel like it was in integrity until I had a level of mastery. Now, like all of us, we're all on the court and we are learning and growing together. In this 10-woman mastermind, basically, we are going to be working together on mastery of relationship from the true feminine. Now, look, I just want to finish up here today because there's a lot I've passed already. Okay, what are you going to get out of the program? You're going to know how to identify, ask for, and get what you desire in relationships with men. You're going to fully value the power of your feminine, the power of your queen, and its influential power with men. Not manipulative, but influential, okay? You know how to ask for what you want in a fluid and graceful way, and you're going to learn how men think, and that it's not a different version of a feminine mind. It's very, very different. You're going to learn how to have kings fall at your feet, adoring and cherishing you and your feminine on a daily basis. Okay. All right. Program overview. Okay. I'm making this so full for you. Okay. Now I'm opening up the group section of this. It starts next Monday, the 16th of July, and goes through to the 15th of October. You're going to get 6 Arise in Your Queen group coaching live streams. They're going to be about an hour each. And I'm going to go through, there's so much. I should post it here. There's just so much. In fact, I put a link here so you can go to the page where it actually goes through what you get. And I'm going to bonus you a bunch of things because I want you to have all of the tools that you need. You're going to get 6 months in the Arise in Your Queen Facebook group, and that's valued at $1,200. The group coaching live streams are valued at $2,400. Bonus 2 is I'm going to be gifting you the Powerfully Feminine Intensive Program, okay? That is valued at $1,997, okay? So that's a whole program. It's on a membership site that you can work through at your own pace. Bonus number 3, 2 tickets to my live Powerfully Feminine live workshop, okay? 2 tickets, one for you, one for a friend. Bonus 4, 12 months of the Powerfully Feminine coaching calls, okay? You jump on an internationally dialable in call with me where you get group coaching with me, also on the phone, okay? And then bonus number 5, you get weekly live feminine power practices. That's valued at $1,200. The group coaching is valued at $1,200. Oh, and then bonus number 6, 12 months in the Powerfully Feminine Sisterhood, valued at $1,200. Now, I'm offering this to you now for a full payment of $996 or 4 payments, 4 easy payments of $297. I've put the link in here, okay, for you to enroll. There are only 3 spots left available, okay, 3 spots left available. So sending so much love to you now. If you have any other questions, pop them in the live stream, pop them in the comments below. So sending you a big virtual hug, a little oxytocin whoosh. Okay, oxytocin, this is what we need as women because it gets us back into our estrogen, gets us back into our true feminine power. If you liked the video today, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, you can subscribe over here. I publish every single week on the topic of feminine power, energy, sexuality, and relationships. And remember, when you have the courage to go out there and shine, you give others permission to do the same. So let's go out there and shine this week. Bye-bye for now.